What's up guys, my name is Liam and today we're taking a look at the MSR LUO. This is a glass infused surface speed gaming mouse pad. I was interested in checking this out. It does come in at a pretty good price at $39.99, but is this going to be the perfect speed gaming mouse pad for you? Let's check it out. Before we get started, I did want to let you know this was sent out to me by MedKeys. However, everything you're going to be seeing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. This did arrive to my front door in this flat envelope style packaging. Opens up here from the middle, so nice and easy to store if you need to do so. This does come in a bunch of different options. They have two sizes. They do have a 420mm by 330mm. This one is actually the standard 490 in width by 420mm in height. They also do have an X-Soft version. They don't list the dimensions of it, but I did get the X-Soft coming in about 4mm in thickness. They also do have a soft, so I'm not sure whether that one is going to be 3 or 3.5, but I imagine it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark. The base that this comes with is pretty unique. It is advertised as a pour-on PU base, so it's not a Rogers pour-on. It does feel a bit more firm compared to authentic Rogers pour-on, but the back of this base, it's very sticky. It's like just a flat feeling overall, but it just sucks into my desk and I kind of had to peel it off as I moved around, so no issues with this sticking to my desk at all. But like I'd mentioned, the properties of this base, it does actually feel very stiff and very firm, even though it is sitting in at 4mm in thickness. So it kind of almost feels more like a mid-style base to me, especially with the fact that the surface of this also feels stiff, so it just all around kind of adds some additional stiffness to it. The stitching all the way around the edges was done pretty well for the most part. It looks kind of weird down here in the bottom right hand corner, but it does sit slightly below the surface itself, so I didn't have any issues with noticing it while I was gaming. They also do have their logo down here in the bottom right hand corner, but it is not raised up on the surface. I do believe it is below the glass bead, so you do not feel it as you glide your mouse down here in the corner. So when it comes to the surface being glass infused, you don't really notice any type of a texture on it. It actually feels really smooth. I was going back and forth and comparing this to my Artisan Shidenkai, the X-Soft version of it, and you do feel a bit more of a texture on that, where this overall feels smoother. So this kind of feels more in line with me to some of the laminated style pads out there, with just the overall smoothness of it. And the speed of this thing is just an absolute monster. It's literally really quick. I feel like this is faster than most glass pads that I used with the type of texture that they have. So the performance of this overall, besides the fact of it being incredibly quick, you literally get almost zero type of static and dynamic friction as you're using this. The one thing that kind of stands out with this, with the Artisan Shidenkai, and I don't have it in mid, I have an older one in mid, so that is a bit more firm. I would say this is a little bit softer than my older V1 Shidenkai in mid, but the X-Soft version of the V2 Shidenkai, it definitely feels much more soft and much more plush than this. So you do kind of really just get a firmer, almost mid-style feeling base to this. And with the properties, some of the other pads out there that are the same type of property, you kind of get a little bit more push into it, a little bit more control. I didn't find that this one having so much control with it being as firm as it is. Yeah, you can slightly push into it and get to slow down just a little bit, but you don't really get a whole lot of control here. Just all around, I kind of feel like the surface in this pad is just for the maximum type of speed. But just as obvious in just about any situation, if you are using the dot skates, I do feel like you get a little bit quicker of a glide, and since the points are smaller, you do get to push into the pad just a little bit more. But the performance of large and dot skates, incredibly fast either way all around. There isn't a whole lot of difference there. All right, so first off, let's go and put up against the Fantech. This is the Strikepad Pro. And though this is not a glass infused surface, I kind of feel like the overall feeling and performance of these is pretty similar to one another. The static friction on the MSR just feels a little bit lower than it does on the Strikepad Pro. With the Strikepad, I feel like if you were to push into it, you get a much greater sense of control and stopping power. Versus the MSR, when you push in this, there isn't a whole lot of added extra control there. But as you get up and going, the overall speed of these is really not that far apart from one another, with the Strikepad Pro just having a bit more control. So let's go ahead and drop the speed comparison between both of them. All right, and finally, the biggest comparison I'm sure that everybody wants to see, this is the Artisan Shidenkai V2 X-Soft. When it comes to the overall performance and speed between both of these, I honestly really can't even tell any type of a difference when it comes to the glide as far as the static and the dynamic friction goes for me. It's very quick all around, regardless of what type of skate that I did use. The one difference between both of these, however, is the base does actually make a pretty big difference. And not just the base, also the surface, because again, as I mentioned on this MSR, it just all around feels a bit more stiff. With the Artisan, the surface of this just feels much more soft. As you're putting your finger across it, you can push into it. Just everything about it, it just feels very unique over here. And this does have an authentic Rogers Prawn base, so it does feel much softer and it does give you more give. Now, even though on the Shidenkai, this isn't the softest pad ever, it still kind of has a more firm surface. But again, the surface of this, even though it's on the firmer side, it feels much softer than this MSR does. So in combination between both of these, the speed on these, again, incredibly similar to one another. But the one major difference with the Artisan is much easier to push into and much easier to get control. So if you're coming down in the static and you're putting weight on top of your mouse or pushing into it, I actually find it's pretty easy. Even though it does kind of scratch the bottom of some of my mice, it is a lot easier to gain control and stopping power on here, where you don't notice that so much. Pushing hard in here, as you can see, you still get a really good degree of motion, and you get almost kind of a slipperier feeling when you're trying to get that additional control that the Shidenkai V2 gives you. So let's go ahead and drop the speed comparison between both of these. All right, guys, so that about wraps things up on the MSR LUO. And coming in at the price that this is coming in at $39.99, the fact that you have so many different colors, you get a option of red, black, the blue, and they also do have an orange version. This is a really great performer. For me, myself personally, I kind of like the softer properties of the other two pads. How it does give you some additional stopping power, depending on the type of first-person shooters you're playing, whether you're playing tack shooters or not. But again, if you're just kind of looking for that overall just absolute speed, you prefer more of a firmer mid-style feeling base. All the properties of this, the fact it sticks to my desk so good, everything about it seems to perform really great. I have only had this thing for about a week now, so I'm not exactly sure how the lifespan of it is going to be, but I do want to say that, you know, I had a lot of experience with the V1 Shidenkai, and just using that one right away off the bat, you kind of noticed like there was some dust on it, like the glass beads were falling off of it. I have not noticed anything like that with this one yet. So far it seems to be holding up really good. But if that does change in the future, I will definitely make sure to let you guys know. But so far, everything on it seems like it's really solid. So if this looks like it falls in line with something that you're interested in, then I can definitely say I'd recommend checking it out. All right, guys, so if you have any questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.